Hey guys, it's Sarah, and today we are going to talk about all the books I have downloaded onto my Kindle recently. I only purchased one book on my Kindle. All the rest are NetGalley. NetGalley is a digital review site where you can sign up and you can request early digital copies of upcoming releases, and you wait to get approved. And if you are approved, you can download those onto whatever electronic reader that you have. And then if you don't get approved, then you don't get the book. So it's publisher discretion on that. But these are ones that I have either requested and been approved for, or publishers just sent me a pre-approved link. Sometimes that has been happening a lot in the publishing industry. They're doing a lot more digital galleys versus the physical. A lot of physical ones are starting to come back, but especially during COVID, a whole lot of publishers went straight digital. So some are still kind of on that trend, or they're picking and choosing which ones they're going to print early copies of and ones that they're just going to keep digital. So I have quite a few. And yeah, let's start with the one that I purchased. That is If the Shoe Fits by Julie Murphy. I got this for 99 cents. It was like a daily deal somewhere. And this I have heard really good things about, actually. It's a Cinderella retelling, and I believe it's set on a reality show. So that's really what piqued my interest, because I've been enjoying books that are set on reality shows, whether it's dating shows or cooking shows or anything like that. I've been really enjoying that setting. So when this one was on my radar because of that, and I had actually really heard good things about it, and then it went down, so I grabbed it. Okay, NetGalley. So I'm going to try to remember what all these are about because there's so many. Okay, so the first one is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. This one comes out in July. And this one gives me major vibes for Ready Player One. This one involves a video game. I don't know what type of video game it is. I don't know if it's like a console or if it's a virtual reality. I'm not quite sure. But it follows these two people who have a very strong bond to each other. And it says always in love, but never lovers. So I don't know if it's just like it's extremely strong friendship, or it could be more. They're just not acting on it. I'm not sure what that's going to be about. But they develop this video game together, and they become almost overnight sensations. And it becomes very, very popular. And I think it is the aftermath of that where you're seeing how that affects their relationship, how it affects them both individually. And it actually spans over like 30 years, I think. So I think you're kind of seeing it all kind of happen, like the entire thing unfolding. So it sounds good. The next one is If You Ask Me by Libby Hubsher, and this one comes out in March. So actually this one's already out. So this one follows a woman named Violet. She lives in North Carolina, and she is the author of a very popular love advice column. And she is just living her best life until she finds out that her husband has been cheating on her. So how does that work when a person who makes her living off of giving love advice finds out that her husband has been cheating on her? She doesn't handle it well, and she actually goes on her next on air. So I don't know if she's like a columnist or if it's like a podcast. I'm not sure exactly that portion of it. That was a little bit fuzzy, but she airs her grievances publicly, basically, and just goes off on a tyrant about him. And so that happens. And so that kind of puts her career up in the air about whether or not her company is going to keep her, if she's going to be doing things like this, become unpredictable, basically. And one night she decides to air her grievances even more by setting all of her husband's belongings on fire out in her front yard. So what happens when a fire is set? The firemen come, and a very hunky fireman comes, and something starts happening between those two. So she is at a crossroads in her life where her career's up in the air, her husband is begging her for a second chance, and then this new hot fireman is also requesting her attention. So yeah, I just think it sounds like a fun romance. The next one is The Long Weekend by Gilly McMillan. This one is actually already out as well. And this was on my most anticipated releases for this year. And I requested this on NetGalley and got approved, and I was so excited. And this one follows a group of women who are going on a vacation with their spouses, like all together. It's a big group thing. So the women go ahead of the men and, go to kind of get everything set up, and then the men are going to join them later. And everyone in their group goes except for one because her husband had passed away, so she didn't really want to go by herself. Makes total sense, right? And so the women get to this cabin. They are completely isolated. There's no cell reception. Like, they are completely shut off from everybody else, which was the whole point of this vacation. And they get there and they receive a letter that states, by the time you read this, one of your husbands will be dead. They do not know which husband. They do not know who sent the letter, I don't think. And they can't contact their husbands to warn them to be careful. So this sounds amazing. I can't wait to read it. Again, it is out already, so if you want to pick up a copy, you can. But yeah, so I love that premise. Okay, the next one comes out in August, and this is Stay Awake by Megan Golden. And I haven't read the full synopsis of this. I only read like one little blurb, and that's all I wanted to read because I didn't want to know anymore. But basically, this follows a woman named Liv, and she wakes up in the back of a taxi, doesn't know how she got there. She's very disoriented, has no clue what's going on. So the taxi drops her off at her brownstone. She lives, I think, in New York, and there's someone else living in her apartment. Like, that's not even her apartment anymore. So they tell her to leave, and she gets outside, reaches for her phone to try to call somebody to find out what's going on and what's happening. And instead of a phone in her pocket, there is a bloody knife, and on her hands are scribbled the words, "Stay awake." That's all I want to know. Like, I'm not looking any more into this. I want to know what this is about. I want to know what's going to happen. I want to know the things, but I'm going to wait. So again, this one comes out in August, but very excited for this one. The next one comes out in May, and that is Adult Assembly Required. And this is by Abby Waxman. I have read one book by Abby Waxman before, and I enjoyed it. I have her two other books that I just haven't read yet. So I happily accepted this one when it was offered to me from the publisher, because I do want to read more from her. So this one follows a woman who is in the aftermath of a tragic accident, and she has an overpowering family that is kind of feeling very smothering to her. So she moves to Los Angeles to kind of get away from all that. And she has a hard time after moving. She actually ends up finding herself homeless. And from there, she is kind of taken in by somebody and is just trying to make things work. And she's meeting all these different people who are helping her. And I think you're just following her, trying to get her life together, basically. And yeah, so that's all I know about it. So it will probably just be a fun contemporary to read, but I'm excited. All right, this next one is also already out. It just came out in March, and that is A Novel Obsession. And this is by Caitlin Barash. And this one follows a woman named Naomi. She is a bookseller, and she wants to write a novel. She really, really wants to become an author, but the ideas are not there. And she's struggling with that. She just doesn't have any good ideas for a novel. And she ends up meeting a man named Caleb, and they start dating. So, and then she meets Caleb's ex-girlfriend, who also works in the literary world. And so Naomi is wondering, if we fell for the same guy, what else do we have in common? We both work in the literary world. Like, what's going on here? So she does a little stalking and finds some things out about his ex-girlfriend. And then it gets to a point where a novel starts forming in her head. So now she is trying to befriend this ex-girlfriend in order to get a story out of this for her to write. And it becomes a whole lot of lies and half-truths and sneaking around and all these things. And I think an obsession really does start. So I love this. And the cover is perfection. The next one also is currently available. It came out in the beginning of March, and that is The Club by Ellery Lloyd. And this one follows this island that is very exclusive, and it is A-list clientele only. And it is a place where the rich and famous can go and they can let loose and they can party, they can do whatever they want, and they can stay in the amazing resorts that are there, and they are away from prying eyes. So there's no media, like nothing like that allowed. And it's following, I believe, one specific resort where a whole lot of things are gonna go wrong on this one weekend. And I think it's like a launch party or something. And it's just like A-listers all over the place. And so a bunch of stuff are happening. And I believe someone ends up dead. So yeah, sounds juicy. My friend Audrey from Chapter and Converse just read this and really enjoyed it, so I'm excited to read it. Okay, the next one comes out in April, and that is The No-Show. This is by Beth O'Leary. I have read one book by this author. She does have two other ones out that I have not read yet, so this will be her fourth book. And this one follows 3 different women who are all stood up on the same day, on Valentine's Day. They're completely stood up by their boyfriends. And come to find out, they are all stood up by the same man. Awkward. So it's this one guy who is dating 3 different women at the same time. He doesn't show up on Valentine's Day for any of their dates. And I don't know about how they figure this out. I don't know if they know right away or if they find out later on. I'm not sure about any of this, but I know it's about them trying to figure out what is going on. Who is this guy really? Where was he on Valentine's Day that he stood up 3 different people, and just what's happening? So, yeah, I'm excited for it. And I do want to read more by Beth O'Leary. I haven't read the other 2 yet, but I'm excited for this one. This next one comes out in May, and that is Chef's Kiss. This is by TJ Alexander. And this one follows a woman named Simone. She is a pastry chef. She is a perfectionist. She is working at her dream job. She is working as a pastry expert at a cookbook publisher. So awesome. And something happens in her career field where they are trying to go a little bit more modern, and they start going to video instead of just the print books. And she's kind of forced into the spotlight that way, even though it makes her very uncomfortable, and that's not really what she wants to be doing. But it's that or lose her job. So she chooses that. And the new production manager comes on and named Ray, and Ray ends up going viral as well, and it's kind of by accident. And they end up forcing these 2 to work together on camera. To be for like the name and the popularity, you know, you go viral and you're getting attention and everything. So they're trying to build off of this, right? And so you're watching Simone and Ray as they are trying to navigate this. Neither one of them are very comfortable with it, but it's happening. And then one day, Ray comes out at work as non-binary and gets mixed reactions from the people around them. And so you're seeing Simone also realize that she is starting to develop feelings for Ray, and they're getting along very well, and it could be more. So she's trying to decide, basically, I think, between her career and Ray. So yeah, but I think it sounds really good, and like a little bit of a reality show setting, I would say, something that kind of turns into a reality type thing. So I'm excited. This next one comes out in June, and that is Meant to Be Mine by Hannah Orenstein. And this one follows a woman named Edie, and she has been told when she's going to meet the love of her life, like the exact day. And she's told this by her grandmother, who has always been able to predict accurately when the women in her family are going to find their one true love. So she knows. Edie knows that she is going to this wedding and she's going to meet the love of her life there. So she's kind of on the lookout for what's going to be happening. And then she meets him. And then she starts questioning things. Not sure if this is accurate, not sure if this timing is perfect. And I believe something else happens at the wedding that makes her question some more things. Haven't looked too far into those types of details, but yeah, I think it sounds good. And the last one, also coming out in June, and it is called Island Time, and this is by Georgia Clark. So this one is following two different families. One is from Australia. They are loud and boisterous and just like to have a lot of fun. The other family is from America. They're a little bit more reserved, a little bit more quiet. So they don't really have anything in common. The only thing that brings them together onto this island at the exact same time is that their daughters are married. So they are there for their daughters. And while they are on this island on this vacation, a volcano erupts and they are forced to stay there. The only other two people on this island with them are employees of where they're staying. So they're all basically trapped together until they can safely leave the island. And because it's like a forced proximity type thing, a lot of family secrets start coming out and things start happening and drama starts and relationships start and all these types of things. So I think that sounds really good. Okay, guys, those are all of the books that I have recently downloaded onto my Kindle. Again, lots of NetGalley. And yeah, so it's pretty awesome. I'm really excited about all of them. So let me know down below if you're excited for any of these as well. Some of them have already been released, so let me know if those are any that you're going to be planning on picking up soon. And let me know if you're excited about any of these coming out in the future. And I will see you guys again soon. Hope you have a great day. Bye.